We can no longer satirize Fox News because they are beyond satire. Fox News is now a parody of itself, down to the last detail, including the host wearing a gigantic, gaudy cross necklace on the eve of Easter. I'm talking about depraved, diabolical, and delusional Fox News host Jeanine Pirro. She may this weekend have hosted the most weaponized single episode of a Fox News program ever. We've got the coronavirus pandemic reaching a fever pitch. 2,000 Americans a day are dying. We have no idea how to prevent a second wave in the fall unless we just keep the shutdown going. Disinformation about the virus is spreading faster than ever. And on the eve of Easter, Judge Jeanine was able to put a slate of guests together that puts previous Fox News propaganda to shame. Judge Jeanine wearing, again, a comically oversized cross necklace. Of course, it was the day before Easter. Invited Donald Trump propagandist Peter Navarro, who's been spreading endless disinformation about the virus, and Republican Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn, a top right-wing bomb thrower who never came across a lie she wasn't willing to tell. It's not clear if Judge Jeanine was drunk during this episode. She was drunk during an episode a week or two ago, but you almost had to be drunk for this television to be tolerable. And what is with the gaudy crosses, by the way? I just don't understand that. Here are some of the highlights. Let's dig right into it. Trump talking about reopening the economy, saying it will be based on facts, but also on instinct, which is really scary. Trump seems to have some of the worst instincts of world leaders and American presidents. Here is Judge Jeanine teeing up a softball for Trump, and Trump answering it as if he is the great thinker that he believes himself to be.
When you make that decision, I mean, where do you go within you? What is it that you dig deep for to come up with a decision, aside from all of the people surrounding you?
Well, Jeanine, I think it's going to be the toughest decision that I've ever made. Hopefully that I ever will have to make, but it's certainly the toughest decision that I've ever made. And I hope that I'm going to make the right decision. I'll be basing it on a lot of very smart people, a lot of professionals, doctors, and business leaders. There are a lot of things that go into a decision like that, and it's going to be based on a lot of facts and a lot of instinct also. Whether we like it or not, there is a certain instinct to it, but we have to get our country back.
Trump will be deciding on instinct. That's really, really bad, and we should be horrified by that, because Trump's instinct was we would have 15 cases, which would quickly go to zero. This would wash away like a miracle in April, not that we would have tens of thousands of deaths already. So then in comes Trump's economic advisor, Peter Navarro. Navarro's been going around in media recommending medications for coronavirus. He's an economist and a highly partisan bomb thrower, certainly not qualified to recommend medications, but he goes on Fox News and does exactly that, including even recommendations for specific doses of medication. Take a look.
And then we went to some additional cities down the line. A lot of them we read like NFL franchises. It's Baltimore, it's Washington, it's Houston. And also, in addition, the Veterans Administration asked for 1 million doses. We got that to them, and DOD wanted, the Department of Defense wanted 1 million doses. We got that to them. So there's demand out there, and there's a protocol. And let me just say one thing. The protocol in the FDA, it's very clear what they're doing. It's a 5-day protocol. You take a double dose the first day, next 4 days, a single dose. And I think let's see what the scientific evidence says.
Of course, they're talking interchangeably about chloroquine and Zithromax. I believe when he says double dose 1 day followed by single doses, that's your typical Z-Pack, which appears not to work in conjunction with chloroquine and can actually cause cardiac issues. And when Peter Navarro says protocol, Fox News viewers will hear that and think this is something that's been actually tested for and calibrated for coronavirus. It hasn't. Typical Z-Pack is 250 milligram tablets on day 1, followed by 1 tablet on days 2 to 5. 4 use as an antibiotic to treat bacterial infections. When Peter Navarro says this is the protocol, people will hear it and they'll think that's the protocol for coronavirus, which of course it is not. And in fact, we have yet another preprint of a peer-reviewed study which says that short-term chloroquine treatment is safe when you add azithromycin it can cause heart failure and cardiovascular mortality. That is also separate from whether it even works on COVID-19, and that data remains unclear. And then we go to Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn using language that to the average Fox News viewer will imply China sent the virus possibly as a bioweapon.
Well, one of the things I think should happen with the UN Human Rights Council and the WHO, my goodness, here we have China being protected by the WHO, and then they're wanting to have this seat on the UN Human Rights Council. Maybe it's time to review the funding that we send to them. Maybe it is time to send that message that what China did, listen, China is not our friend. They are our enemy. They have been ripping us off, taking our jobs. They have been sending us this virus this year. They've been stealing our intellectual property. And we need to realize they are not our friend. They are part of the new axis of evil. You've got North Korea and China and Iran and Russia. And Judge, these are not people who wish us well.
So a few things there. And of course, the ignorance is stunning. To the average Fox News viewer, when you say China sent us the virus, it's going to sound to them like this was a bioweapon. Number two, Blackburn has this incredibly simplistic understanding of foreign policy with her whole China's our enemy and they are aligned with North Korea. There is no doubt, and I've talked about it, the Russia, China, North Korea situation is one of concern. But the thinking she outlines here in relation to the virus, okay, so if we call China the enemy, then what? What about Trump's laughable handling of the virus? So if we call China the enemy, then where do we get on our caseload? It was so bizarre that even Judge Jeanine seemed confused by it at one point. She also may have been drinking. We just don't know. There's also been a resurgence in the era of coronavirus with Fox News just carrying water for Donald Trump. You might remember that over the few months before the virus, we were actually saying, you know, Fox occasionally will do something other than merely parroting Trump's talking points and repeating them. Rare, but it happened. Fox News is fully back on board with Trump now. It's very dangerous. It's putting people's lives in danger on a day-to-day basis. And Judge Jeanine's show on Saturday night, one of the worst that I've seen. And it is now beyond parody. You can't parody it because the parody is not as crazy as what is actually taking place on Fox News. Have you ever wanted to learn to play the guitar, but you've had trouble committing to the time and money required to actually take lessons? I have the perfect solution for you. It's called Fender Play. It's an app developed by the iconic guitar company Fender. It lets you learn to play your favorite songs in minutes on your schedule with interactive video lessons that are very easy to follow. You can use it for guitar, bass, or ukulele. I've been using Fender Play to learn the ukulele. I've gotten a lot better than I thought I would in a couple of months. I had tried teaching myself using some YouTube videos, didn't really get anywhere. Night and day difference since I've started using Fender Play, and they have personalized learning paths that will cater to your musical tastes. You can use it on your phone, tablet, or computer, and you learn at your own pace, which is just awesome. 1 year of membership gives you access to thousands of lessons for less than the cost of one traditional in-person lesson. And when you go to fender.com/Pakman, you'll get to try it totally free for 2 whole weeks, free 2-week trial. Don't lose out on that without any commitment. That's FENDER.com/Pakman, Pakman, fender.com/Pakman.